Hey, what's up, stock compounders? Brad here. So today I'm doing round two of what super investors bought in quarter three of 2020. Now, if you're just getting started with investing, or even if you are a very experienced investor, figuring out what the best investors in the world are buying and selling recently, in the last quarter in this case, is really the best way that I can think of to improve your investment performance. Monish Pabrai calls it bowling with bumpers. Okay, what other profession can you see exactly what the best of the best are doing and copy them so simply? It's just a fantastic resource that we have here with these 13F filings. Now, Data Roma does us the service of taking the data in these 13F filings and putting them into a much more usable form than what we find in the 13F filings. So, like I said, on Friday, I kind of covered the first round of 13F filings that were coming in. There have been a lot that have come in today. Basically, all of the super investors that I track came in today in terms of what they bought in quarter three of 2020, which is July 1st through the end of September, that 3-month chunk in 2020. So let's take a look at the gurus that I follow and if there were any significant changes in what they were buying in quarter three. So this is a spreadsheet I made for you guys today. You can see the gurus that I follow. Now, most of these I follow because Monish Pabrai followed them, right? He has something called the free lunch portfolio. And one aspect of the free lunch portfolio is simply cloning great investors. And he's got a list of, I think it's 9 great investors where, he sees what they've bought recently, and those are the companies that get added to the free lunch portfolio. And you can check that out on Monish Pabrai's blog, Chai with Pabrai. He does a post every year on the free lunch portfolio. But you can see here, Chris Hohn, TCI Fund Management, David Tepper, Seth Klarman, Lee Lu, Michael Burry. Those were all the investors that had significant activity, buying activity in the third quarter. So we're going to go through some of these positions that were added to the portfolios of these great investors. There were even more than that had no real change to speak of. And the changes that I'm looking for, I want there to be changes in significant positions. So positions that make up 10% or more of that investor's equity portfolio. Otherwise, it's not a high enough conviction act for me to get interested. And then how much did they add? For example, Warren Buffett added 9% to Bank of America in the third quarter. That wasn't really enough to get me excited about it. It is the second largest equity holding in Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio. But, increasing by 9%, it's just, I don't consider it significant. So that's why Berkshire Hathaway ended up down here and no significant change. You got Pabrai, Thomas Gaynor, Jeffrey Ubben, Bill Ackman, Guy Spear, Charlie Munger. No significant changes to the portfolios of those super investors. And then there is one that I like to follow every quarter where the 13F has not been released yet, and that's Sequoia. Okay, so I'll keep an eye on that one over the next couple of days. I don't anticipate there's going to be a big change in Sequoia, but if there is, I'll probably make a quick update about it. So anyway, let's get into what these 5 great investors bought in the third quarter of 2020. So Chris Hohn of TCI Fund Management added 25% to his Visa position. Okay, now Visa makes up 10% of TCI Fund Management, the equity portfolio right now. So significant position. A relatively significant add, 25%. So what I like to do when a super investor, when I know that they bought in a quarter, right? I'll go to the Visa price history and I want to see what was the low price in that quarter that that super investor bought. That gives me a conservative estimate of, what that super investor, what price they really like that stock at, right? Because I'm assuming they bought at the low, okay? That builds in a margin of safety into kind of my framework for it. So the low here for Visa in quarter three was $189, all right? Then I have today's price, which is, what's today? November 16th, 212.70. So what I did here is I want to know what's the difference between where this super investor, may have gotten a deal on this stock versus the price today. And here I have the delta. So the price today is 12.5% higher than it was where I'm assuming this super investor bought it, okay? So obviously, the lower the delta, the more potentially interested I am in looking, kind of digging into that. But, even with the bigger delta, like Micron, around 45%, it's gone up since the low of quarter three. I have no problem just deciding what price I want to pay for Micron, right? Deciding what my buy price is. At what price am I interested in deploying investment funds into Micron? And I know what it is for me. It's around 42. It was around 42 before I even saw what these investors were doing in quarter three. Because Pabrai got in around $39 per share, 38 or 39. Li Lu has bought before. He added a bit in the third quarter, but I know he bought before probably around $40 a share. So 40, 42, somewhere in there, I'm feeling pretty good about Micron. And if you guys are interested in Micron, I'm going to link. There's an investment manager in Southern California who wrote a letter to shareholders in quarter three, and he did an incredible job with a write-up of Micron, right? So he bought Micron recently, and it's just a really good 8 to 10 pages, kind of talking about what he sees as the investment thesis for Micron. So I'm going to link to that. It's a great read. Right, so that's the delta. The closer, potentially the closer it is to a great price, the lower the delta. Now, Value Investors Club, for those of you who aren't aware of Value Investors Club, it's this website here, created by Joel Greenblatt. And basically, investors submit investment ideas to the Value Investors Club, and a very few percentage of them get accepted. It's got to be a very high-level write-up to get published by the Value Investors Club. And so, it's free. You can go here, you can sign up. There's like a 45-day lag time, I believe, where, say a write-up comes out in the middle of November, I won't be able to see it until January 1st because, I haven't successfully submitted a write-up to Value Investors Club, which would mean I would be in the club and I could see ideas in real time. But in order to give an edge to the people who have submitted ideas and are kind of full-on members of the club, they make it so that people who aren't full-on members get to see the write-ups, but there's a delay. And it's just like with 13F filings. The average delay with 13F filings is about 3 months, okay? So we're seeing what these great investors bought on average 3 months ago. Still an awesome situation because, these investors that I'm following, the super investors on this list here, they're long-term investors. If they bought it 3 months ago, that's not going to be a big deal for me, right? Because they're investing for the long term. I may even be able to get it cheaper from where they bought. So it doesn't bother me too much. And it's the same situation with Value Investors Club. But what I did here is I looked up, are there write-ups? Are there investment write-ups for these companies that were bought by superinvestors in the third quarter, kind of high conviction bets. And for 4 of the 5 of them, there were write-ups from this year, 2020, which is awesome. You can see here, Pacific Gas and Electric had a June write-up. Micron in March. Pershing Square Tontine Holdings, that's the SPAC from Bill Ackman, in September. And then Facebook had a write-up in July. So if you guys want to learn more about a business and really see a business through the eyes of a seasoned investor, this is a fantastic resource. Spend time reading these investment write-ups in Value Investors Club. And the last column here, I just have some notes about kind of what I'm seeing in that particular business. So let's go through these. Visa, right? We saw it's a pretty big position from Chris Hohn, added 25%. Now Visa, I looked at the 10-year price to earnings history for Visa. It's got a current price to earnings ratio of 43. It's the highest it's been in the last 10 years, which is how far the data goes back in Morningstar. So that hurts, guys. A PE of 43. I can't justify paying a PE of 43. I don't care how great the business is. I think Visa got down into the 130s back in March. So, it would probably have to get back down there for me to take a serious look at Visa. I mean, I know Visa is a great business. It's one of those great businesses that an idiot can run, which, Monish Pabrai talks about. Those are the kind of businesses you want to own because one day an idiot will run. Every business eventually will be run by an idiot. So huge advantage if you can find a business that an idiot can run and still do well. But, it's got to get back down to those kind of March lows for me to be interested in Visa. Pacific Gas and Electric. Now, I got to tell you guys, I hate Pacific Gas and Electric. So I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, kind of in the East Bay where there's forest. And Pacific Gas and Electric, for years, they deferred maintaining their power lines, okay? They let the trees kind of grow into the power lines. So now, the situation we have, we've got these fire seasons, right, that are getting worse and worse every year. I'm sure you've heard about the fires in California. It felt like half of California was on fire this year. But so what PG&E does, when there's dry conditions, when there's high winds, if there's an area where there are trees that are kind of near power lines, they just shut the power off for days, right? I've had multiple shutoffs this year where the power was out for days. And when that happens, you lose everything in the fridge and the freezer. Of course, I had a newborn, right? I had a daughter that was born on October 10th, and the power went out like a week later, right, for a couple days. And you guys, when it's hot and the power goes out, and you don't have like a sound machine or anything to try to, I have a 2-year-old as well, to keep the babies happy and buffer them from any noises. It is a scary situation. It was not fun. So, I already have a big bias against PG&E. But David Tepper's a great investor, a 13% position. He basically 9x'd his PG&E position in the third quarter, okay? You can see the low here. It's gone up quite a bit since then, 37%-ish. Now, PG&E just exited a bankruptcy, right? So the third quarter was, July 1st. They just came out of bankruptcy. The killer for me on PG&E, the reason I'm not going to look any deeper at PG&E, they have $40 billion in debt, okay? Net debt. Debt minus cash, $40 billion. And they have $2 billion of operating income from the last 12 months, okay? That is not a ratio I like to see. That is, I can't justify owning this business for the long term. The likelihood of them declaring bankruptcy again, debt just not them not being able to pay back debt because of whatever lawsuits they get into. There's going to be more fires, guys. I mean, it's not getting better in California; it's getting worse. So there's no way I can justify buying PG&E. And again, I haven't looked too deeply into it. If you're interested, check out this Value Investors Club write-up. I know Howard Marks has bought into PG&E. I believe Seth Klarman bought into PG&E recently. So clearly there's amazing investors who are getting very interested in PG&E. But it's a pass for me. The debt is simply too high. I'm just not interested in that. Micron is the only company on here that I own currently. You guys, I'm kicking myself for not buying Facebook back in March when it got down to like 146. Just crazy levels. I knew it was cheap, but I got greedy. I thought, I'm just going to let it keep going down because then I can just buy it even cheaper. So that is a mistake I have learned from. I mean, Facebook is like the number one company owned by super investors right now. So clearly an awesome business. If you look at Phil Town's toolbox, the Rule 1 toolbox, Facebook, it's got all hundreds. The moat score, the management score, it's just, the numbers are off the charts. So anyway, it's got an incredible ad platform. The degree to which you can target users with ads on Facebook, I've never seen anything like it. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, but he's a serial entrepreneur, big guy on social media, right? He likes to go on social media wherever he can get attention arbitrage, right? Where the number of eyeballs on that platform is increasing exponentially, and people haven't caught up yet with the content. That's where Gary V likes to go. And he is so bullish on Facebook. So, and I've used the product. It's a great product. And they are just generating cash insanely. You guys should look at kind of the balance sheet over time. It is very impressive what Facebook has been able to do. And you can see Li Lu, Michael Burry. Michael Burry just bought Facebook fresh. I think he had some call options on it from the second quarter. Maybe some of those converted into equity. You can see here, Li Lu basically doubled down on Facebook, more than doubled his position in the third quarter. And Li Lu is one of the top investors that I follow. When Li Lu does something, you guys, that is the first company I want to reverse engineer to try to understand why Li Lu bought that company. Right, you can see the quarter 3 low is 230. Not even close to where it was in the second quarter, much higher. But I guess these great investors are still seeing that it's trading at a bargain. At least it was at 230. What else have we got here? The last one I talk about is this Pershing Square Tontine Holdings. This is the SPAC by Bill Ackman. Now, there hasn't been a target company yet for this SPAC. So I was very actually surprised to see Seth Klarman make a 4% bet on this SPAC from Bill Ackman. You can see, we're within striking distance of the low in the third quarter currently, just 10%. So check out this Value Investors Club write-up. Really, I think here Seth Klarman is betting on the jockey. I mean, obviously, there's no business to bet on yet. There's been nothing acquired by this SPAC yet. So betting on the jockey. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to share, just kind of wrap it all together, what I'm seeing from super investors in the third quarter. And, just kind of a really quick overview of kind of what I'm what my thought process is with these different companies, and what may be a very compelling price to have on your wish list or your watch list. All right, guys, I will link to the spreadsheet in the description. And yeah, like I said, I'll keep an eye on Sequoia Fund to see if they have anything. Not anticipating anything, but let me know if you guys have any questions, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.